And so this is a very important month and a program. Some are romance scams, and recently we've been collaborating with our international partners when evidence is gathered and it's proven that people are involved in romance scams. Using our extradition treaties, we ship the culprits back. And so we'll continue to collaborate with all our global partners. Anybody involved in romance scams, whether you are a foreigner or you are a Ghanaian citizen, we will hand you over to be tried and punished accordingly.
Since day one, Wicked Blogger Ghana has told you straight that the National Democratic Congress, NDC, is not joking when it comes to cracking down on fraudsters in this country. We've been saying it over and over. If your name shows up on their radar, they will hand you over to the FBI and the local feds without hesitation. Those who've been following Wicked Blogger Ghana know I don't talk for talking's sake. The list I dropped months back with names of wanted fraud boys is already in motion. Quite recently, Davido GH, who was right there on the list, got picked up by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO. Now, let's get serious. The President of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, stood bold in front of EOCO boss Raymond Archer and other top state authorities and made it clear both local and international scammers will be dealt with. Speaking during the launch of Cybersecurity Awareness Month in Accra on Wednesday, October 1, President Mahama revealed that Ghana is working hand in hand with international partners to clamp down on online fraud. He stressed that evidence gathered on perpetrators will be acted on decisively. No long talk, no delays. We've been collaborating with our international partners when evidence is gathered and it is proven that people are involved in romance scams. Using our extradition treaties, we ship the culprits back, President Mahama stated. He made it clear that Ghana will rely heavily on existing extradition treaties to ensure suspects are returned to the countries where they committed the crimes and made their victims suffer. So we will continue to collaborate with all our global partners. Anybody involved in romance scams, whether you are a foreigner or a Ghanaian citizen, we will hand you over to be tried and punished accordingly, he stressed. The president hammered on the point that this crackdown is not just about discipline at home, it's about protecting Ghana's image internationally. Fraud and Sakawa have already painted the nation in bad colors, and Mahama is determined to clean it up before it destroys the country's reputation completely. While the government is collaborating to arrest fraud boys, from the very beginning, Wicked Blogger Ghana has said it over and over again. The days of fraud boys moving freely in Ghana, showing off cars, money, and luxury as if there is no law, are coming to an end. The government of Ghana is now openly working hand in hand with international partners, the FBI, Interpol, Europol, and other law enforcement agencies to clamp down on internet fraud. This move has raised eyebrows, created debates, and sparked questions on the streets. Why is the government doing this? Why are they handing over their own citizens to foreign agencies? And what exactly does the government stand to gain? The answers to these questions are not as complicated as some people make them out to be. When you break it down, it all comes down to reputation, pressure, money, international relations, and the need for order. Let me take my time to explain everything the Wicked Blogger Ghana way, so you understand why fraud boys are now being hunted like never before. Ghana's international image is on the line. First things first. Ghana as a country has a reputation to protect. Every nation has a brand, and that brand is what attracts investors, tourists, and foreign aid. If the world begins to see Ghana as nothing but a safe haven for scammers and fraudsters, it directly damages the country's image. And let's not lie, over the years, internet fraud, or Sakawa, as is popularly known, has placed Ghana on the map for the wrong reasons. When foreigners are constantly complaining that they lost money to someone in Ghana, when headlines abroad are filled with stories linking fraud to Ghanaians, what do you think happens? Investors hold back their money. Tourists become skeptical. Countries begin to tag Ghana as a hub for cybercrime. No government will sit back and allow that negative branding to destroy everything they are trying to build. So the crackdown is not just about arresting boys. It is about defending the national brand. Ghana wants to be known for business, tourism, cocoa, gold, oil, culture, and peace, not for internet scams. International pressure is real. Another big factor is pressure. Let's be real. Ghana does not operate in isolation. The country has treaties, agreements, and obligations to the global community. The United States, the UK, Canada, and many European nations have citizens who are victims of romance scams, lottery fraud, business email compromise, and other internet tricks coming from West Africa. When the reports keep piling up, their governments are not going to fold their arms. They demand answers. They want justice for their citizens. And guess who they call? The Ghanaian government. When you are receiving international loans, aid packages, and support, you cannot pretend that the cries of those foreign nations do not matter. The pressure is heavy. If Ghana ignores it, sanctions can come, blacklisting can happen, and aid can be cut. To avoid all of that, the government collaborates with the FBI, with Interpol, with Europol to make sure the fraud pipeline is dismantled. This is why extradition treaties come in. If the FBI identifies a fraud ring in Ghana, they share intelligence with local authorities. Ghana picks up the suspects, processes them, and ships them to the US to face charges. That's collaboration in action. Money laundering and dirty cash is crippling the economy. Fraud boys may think their hustle is just small play, but on a national scale, it creates serious economic problems. Fraud money does not flow through normal, traceable systems. It enters the economy in shady ways, it distorts property prices, and it pushes ordinary people out of the market. For example, when a fraud boy washes millions of cedis into real estate, suddenly house prices in Accra shoot up. Regular working class citizens cannot compete. The economy begins to twist around dirty money instead of clean, traceable investments. The government knows this is dangerous. It creates an artificial economy where fraud dictates the pace instead of genuine business. And don't forget, fraud money is not taxed. That means the government loses revenue. Billions of cedis are moving underground while the state gets nothing. That is why you now see collaboration with international partners. By flashing out fraud, Ghana can protect its economy, stabilize housing and business prices, and ensure that tax revenue is not lost to underground crime. Fraud is tied to bigger crimes. Here's another thing people don't always consider. Fraud doesn't end with just stealing money online. The networks that run fraud are often connected to bigger crimes, money laundering, drug trafficking, illegal arms trading, and even terrorism financing. When international agencies trace money from fraud, it sometimes ends up funding violent groups across Africa. If Ghana becomes a safe haven for fraud money, then indirectly, the country is fueling other global problems. The government knows that once international agencies link Ghana to terrorism financing, the nation is in serious trouble. That is why they don't take chances anymore. By collaborating with global agencies, the government is not only chasing fraud boys, but also protecting itself from being accused of harboring bigger threats. Ghana wants a seat at the big table. Politics and diplomacy play a role too. Every government wants recognition. They want to be seen as responsible and reliable partners on the international stage. If Ghana wants to be respected, to attract investment, to sit at the big table of nations, then it cannot afford to be called the scam capital of the world. By showing seriousness in fighting fraud, Ghana builds trust. That trust translates into stronger diplomatic ties, better international deals, and access to financial opportunities. In short, the crackdown is part of Ghana's strategy to rise higher in global politics, protecting local citizens. Now, let's bring it home. Fraud is not only an international issue. Local citizens are also victims. Ghanaians fall prey to fake job offers, fake scholarship programs, fake online deals, and Ponzi schemes. When fraudsters flourish, they don't just target foreigners, they target their own people too. So, by cracking down, the government is also protecting the average Ghanaian. The message is clear. No matter who you are, fraud will not be tolerated. That way, citizens can have more trust in local business and online transactions. Technology makes it harder to hide. Let's not forget the role of technology. In the past, fraud boys could hide easily. Today, that's impossible. Every online transaction leaves a trail. Phone numbers, emails, IP addresses, bank accounts, everything can be traced. International agencies have advanced tools to track criminals across borders. So even if the Ghanaian government wanted to ignore fraud boys, they cannot. Once the FBI or Interpol identifies someone, the evidence is too strong to be swept under the carpet. The collaboration is therefore inevitable. What fraud boys need to understand: the days of flaunting cash from fraud are over. Social media has exposed too many people. Once you post money, cars, and trips online, investigators are watching. The government is under pressure, both internally and externally, to clean house. Collaboration with foreign agencies is not just an option, it is a survival strategy. Fraud boys must understand that no amount of VPNs, proxies, or underground tricks can save them when the government itself is handing them over. So, why is the Ghanaian government collaborating to arrest fraud boys? Because the nation's image is at stake, because international pressure is real, because fraud money is crippling the economy, because fraud is tied to bigger crimes, because Ghana wants respect on the global stage, and because citizens, both local and foreign, must be protected. In short, the crackdown is bigger than just chasing boys with laptops. It is about protecting Ghana's future. Fraud may look sweet today, but in the eyes of the government and the international community, it is poison that cannot be allowed to spread unchecked. The message is clear. If you're involved in fraud, know that the walls are closing in. Collaboration means there is no hiding place. You can run, but eventually you will be caught. Smash the subscribe button and watch out for Wicked Blogger Ghana's next update.